Hey guys, welcome to Christina Cakes It. I'm Christina and today I'm showing you how to make a sports cake. So this is another really special cake because this cake is inspired by my nephew Asher, and Asher is turning 12 and he is the firstborn niece or nephew that we have. And I actually remember when my brother called me to tell me that he and his wife were gonna be having a baby. I'll never forget, I was at the gym in San Diego and I literally teared up. So Asher is wonderful and he's intelligent, and another thing about him is he loves sports. And not only does he play, but he also follows all the stats of all of his favorite teams. So I thought it would be fun to make a cake combining several of his favorite sports. So we're gonna be doing a football, baseball, basketball cake. And the design is actually pretty simple, and I think this is actually a cake that any beginner could do. So to get started, you guys can see that I have an 8-inch 3-layer cake. I wanted to use a little bit bigger than a 6-inch so that I had more surface to work with. And I've already prepped a lot of buttercream, and probably the part that took the longest was prepping the buttercream and filling my piping bags. So these tips are Ateco Star Tips, between 834 and 833. So if you use a bigger tip, it's gonna go faster. If you use a smaller tip, it's gonna take you longer to pipe. And the first thing that you're gonna see that I did, and I did this off camera to make sure it would work, is I scored the cake. So I just used a cake board to put the lines in where I wanted them. So you can see I did that. And then I just used my dowel tool into the frosting. So this is gonna be my football, this is gonna be my baseball, and then for my basketball, I also scored with the lines, and I actually put them too close together at first, so I just kind of remade them. That's why I did it ahead of time. And this is just gonna be my guide as I pipe the cake. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm gonna start with piping. I'll start with my baseball. So I'm just going to be very patient and fill in my cake. So next I'm going to move on to my football, and I'm just going to follow the lines that I set. So another key to this cake is you do want pretty stiff consistency of icing, and I am holding my piping bag at a 180-degree angle, very vertical, because I do want this to look as neat as possible. And if your piping tip clogs up, you're going to just want to wipe it away. You might have to do that periodically. That's going to help keep the shapes more neat. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to our orange. And at this point, your hand is probably cramping a little bit, but just take breaks as needed. So as the icing starts to crust, what you can do is actually press down on these little points, just very gently, and we're gonna make them a little bit more round. You can leave them pointy if you'd like. I kind of like the round to look a little bit better. So same thing for this. I'm gonna follow my lines, and I have prepared black, red, and white, and I'm using various sizes of round tips. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. And I'm going to carefully follow along. So after I've done the top, I'm just going to continue piping all along the sides, just using the exact same technique. And you're most likely gonna have to stop at some point and fill piping bags. So after your hand is completely cramped, we just need to continue with the lacing and finish up our cake. Okay, so my sports cake is done, and that piping took about 45 minutes. Just remember, if you use a smaller piping tip, it might look a little bit like tighter and cleaner, but it's gonna take you a lot longer. So depending on what you want and what you have time for. I do hope that, Asher, that you love this cake. I love you and I miss you, and happy birthday. And to everybody else, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.